If you don't know what this is, it's a do-rag. Now you know. And before I really get into the movie itself, unfortunately, I feel like I have to address the casting controversies and the culture war nonsense thereof. I don't care. But, hold up, let me explain. I have made videos about legit wokeism, the imaginary dragon of the right-wing wokeism, and wokeism, aka right-wing wokeism. So, I get for some, there seems to have been a trend in Hollywood where people, in a sensible way, race swap or gender swap a character to appease a particular audience instead of just making a good film. I get that. I really do. Here's the problem. That ain't it here. It's a myth. You have zombies, cyclopses, gods, etc. I do not think the skin color matters for this myth at all. I do not care about the skin color. I do not care. I do not care. I really do not. I really do not. Enjoy life. Touch some grass. Enjoy the film. It's really good. Please. Please. Goodness. It is a myth, ladies and gentlemen. I get it, but no. Not this time. Not in this situation. Just no. And I'm sorry, I will not take AI slop side over real actors making a real movie out of stuff that's real and human. Not amount of water wasted for AI slop to own the libs would turn me into a fan of the AI slop that Elon Musk is planning to make. The Roke or Rokified Odyssey. I'm sorry, no. Not amount of water wasted for your AI slop to own the libs will maybe be like, maybe that makes sense, I never thought of it that way. This would be much better than real human beings. No, it won't. Now let's get into the movie itself, because there is one thing that I can see that's actually controversial, and I do want to get into it, and this will not be turned into a short, it will be turned into a video, because this is important, and since I'm a Christian, I think I need to address the big elephant in the room in the movie itself. So we're past all the other nonsense, let's actually get into the meat of things. It's short, but not short. Point is this. There is an overarching kind of theme in a sense, and it's Zeus's laws. Specifically, the big one I can see as a big controversial, especially for Christians, is in the video. Well, movies are kind of like videos, but not really. I'd rather that than AI slot, but that's not the point. Point is, in the movie, one of the first times we hear about Zeus's law is treat others as you want to be treated. I'm like, okay. I read the Odyssey and the Iliad. I don't remember that necessarily. It might be in there, but a pretty brief search, and if I'm correct, it is true. There is a law called Zeus's law, where basically it is treat others as you want to be treated. That is basically what it is. I think the whole thing is basically show hospitality, things of that nature, because you never know if you are entertaining a god in disguise, basically. So for us Christians, I would say this. It is just truthful. The golden rule is not necessarily a original from Jesus Christ. There were similar golden rule-esque like sayings and rules and laws before Jesus Christ said treat others as you want to be treated. I would say this, I don't think Zeus actually said those exact words, but basically it is kind of that in a nutshell via the hospitality, because you never know, you might entertain a god in disguise. That is Zeus's law, basically. We need to be informed of that. I don't think that changes anybody's faith. That's just a fact. There have been similar golden rules. I think there was one called the Iron Rule, which I think it was the opposite of doing to others as you do unto you, or something like that. But Jesus Christ's was unique. It was, if I'm correct, quite unique about basically kind of thinking about others before yourself, which I think is the uniqueness of Jesus Christ's golden rule. But with Zeus's law, it's basically kind of saying that, which I don't think should break anybody's faith. We really think about it. Okay. And for some, they might be like, that kind of sounds familiar to what Scripture says about, I think, also being hospitable with anybody in a sense. Kind of paraphrasing, I think Paul or Peter said it. Look up for yourself, but basically, to paraphrase, I think it's show hospitality or something like that, or kindness, because you might be entertaining angels. Which, hey, that makes sense, because we don't believe in multiple gods, we believe in one God, but we can, in a sense, way, entertain angels. I think that might have been a direct response to to Zeus's law, especially if it was Paul, because Paul, famously Mars Hill, was talking with people who most likely believed in Zeus, and they were praying to the unknown god. He's like, oh, I know who that unknown god is. It's basically God. And Jesus Christ, who he sent, etc. And some of them were turned off during the resurrection, and others were like, that sounds interesting. So obviously that's the only very controversial thing for this people in general. There are at least 3 F-bombs. It's rated R. Depending on your endurance of handling certain things, you are going to handle this movie or not. You're mostly going to be like, okay, I get it, skip, But for others, they're like, they'll be fine with it. And other than that, I would say the overall rating I would get, lowest, like, maybe 65, but to be honest, maybe a 70, mid, like 80 at least, and highest, maybe 90, 95. It's a really good movie, to be honest.